Hey everyone, welcome back to Mark and Mark. If this is your first time tuning in, so glad to have you. We've got stacks of episodes that you can go back and look at, starting from Mark chapter 1. And today we're continuing on in Mark chapter 3. And we get to this point in Mark where we've come to a bit of a summary section where we're pausing on the action. And we're just going to now sum up some things and get the pieces set up for now the next phase. So here we are in verse 7. It says, Jesus departed with his disciples to the sea, and a large crowd followed from Galilee, Judea, Jerusalem, Idumea, beyond the Jordan, and around Tyre and Sidon. Now, just in case you don't know where all those places are, here's the map. Up north here, this is Galilee. Down here, this orange part, it's Judea. Down here, that's Jerusalem there. Right down the bottom here, this is Idumea, this whole region south. This is the Jordan River just here. And so beyond the Jordan is this right-hand side of the map. And then Tyre and Sidon is up here, this yellow bit in the north. So people are coming from everywhere. No one has really yet come from Samaria, but everywhere else they've come. And here we are at the sea. So then we're told the large crowd, not a large crowd, the large crowd. This is the constant, there's always a large crowd, and the large crowd came to him just like they always do because they heard about everything he was doing. Then verse 9, he told his disciples to have a small boat ready for him so the crowd would not crush him. This is a very large crowd. The idea is this might be the edge of the lake, let's say, and there's a big crowd of people all standing around it. And then they'd push the boat out into the water, and Jesus would then teach from the boat to all the people who were all on the shore. That's kind of the idea here. Then we're told, verse 10, since he had healed many, all who had diseases were pressing towards him to touch him, right? He's powerful and they know it. Then we're told, verse 11, whenever the unclean spirits, this word here for unclean, it's not evil spirits, it's unclean. It's the word akathartos, the akathartos spirits, the unclean spirits. And the idea is that these were spirits who had come from the realm of the dead. You know, the dead were unclean, and anything to do with death was unclean. The underworld was unclean. These were spirits who had come from the unclean underworld and now were roaming up here, so to speak. But whenever these unclean spirits saw Jesus, those possessed fell down before him and cried out, "You are the Son of God." Now, just first of all, it's important to say those possessed, this word is not actually in the original Greek. The translators have added it in. It doesn't say those possessed. It just says whenever the unclean spirits saw him, they fell down before him and cried out. So are these people possessed? Well, the Bible doesn't actually say that. Maybe they are. It's not in the text. But they cry out, "You are the Son of God." Now, just an interesting note here. This phrase or title, Son of God, is messianic, right? Which means it's about a human king. They're not saying, "We know you are the second person of the Trinity. We know you are divine." Now, maybe that's what they mean, and that's certainly who Jesus is. He is absolutely the second person of the Trinity, God himself, come as a human in the flesh. All of that stuff is true. It's just that the title, Son of God, is a very human title. It comes from 2 Samuel 7, where the king is known as the Son of God. So this was a messianic title. It's primarily, if not completely, messianic. It's not a title of divinity. But they know who Jesus is. They know he's the Messiah. And we knew this. We've known this since chapter 1, verse 1, that Jesus is this Son of God. But he would strongly warn them not to make him known. And we've talked about this. This is the Markin messianic secret. Because people have a particular idea about what the Messiah was going to be, and Jesus has a very different idea. And then we're told that he then went up the mountain and summoned those he wanted, and they came to him. He appointed 12. He also named them apostles to be with him and to send them out. And they were to go and preach and to have authority to drive out demons. That is, they were to mimic Jesus' ministry. Because that's what he's been doing. He's been preaching, and he displays, he authenticates his teaching by his power to drive out these demons, these evil spirits, these unclean spirits. And so we see this is Jesus' modus operandi. This is how he was working. He brought people to himself to be with him. He would build them up, and then he would send them out. And that's Jesus' ministry strategy, and that's our strategy too. Bring people to Jesus, help them be built up in him, and then we send them out for him. And then we're told, verse 16, he appointed the 12. And we see the names of the people here, and they're kind of grouped into groups, interestingly. You know, you have Simon, Peter, and then the two brothers, James and John, and so on. But I just wanted to point out just one thing that I think is interesting. We see Matthew. This is, everyone's pretty sure, this is Matthew, Levi, the tax collector. We've met him already. And then we have this guy, Simon the Zealot. This word zealot is the Greek word kananaeon. And this is an Aramaic word written in Greek that means zealous one. And we know about 30 years after Jesus, the Zealots became a very specific group, along with a group called the Sicarii, who were the dagger men. These were people who were very zealous against the Romans, very militant. These guys hated Romans, and the Sicarii were known as people who would walk through the crowd, and when they saw a Roman, they would get a dagger out, stab them, and then just keep on walking. They were really frightening people. Now, whether Simon the Zealot is a capital Z official titled labeled zealot or a Sicarii, it's hard to know, not sure. But certainly you've got this tax collector and this zealous one. This one hates the Romans. This one just used to work for them. And Jesus says, you guys are going to be mates. You guys are going to live together. You guys are going to share the same bunk. Hope that goes well. And I just love it because here is Jesus bringing these very diverse people who have nothing in common with each other except they have Jesus in common with each other. And in him, they have everything in common. And that's the kind of thing that Jesus has always been doing as he not just reconciles us to God, but he also reconciles us to one another. Well, that's all we have time for this time. We'll see you next time.